Cool, guys. We're recording now. So, welcome to another B1 Contributor Hours. We currently have no items in the agenda submitted prior, so it's going to be an open session. And we have Pocket Blade now, who asked some questions that were answered last week. I can refresh those if we want to follow up on the responses that were given, or if we have any new topics by any other assistant today, then we can move on with those.
We don't have to recap. I watched the recording and it answered my questions pretty succinctly. Thank you, though.
Cool, awesome. That's good to know. So, do we have any topics today? Daniel, thank you for joining as well. If you have any updates you would like to say from the team as well, we can use the time for that since we have a free agenda.
Yeah, so there's no concrete updates for us to go over today, but kind of in case, just to keep everyone on board, the core team is going to be focusing on primarily on the persistence layer. So everything from refactoring it into an implementation, guaranteeing data integrity and snapshotting the state, using a hybrid Merkle tree SQL database implementation. That's basically where most of our work is going on right now. It's still in the early MVP stages, or rather, I would say we're actually getting close to a finalized end-to-end MVP. It's going to be far from optimization, and we'll kind of need benchmarking and visibility into the resource usage once that's done. So, kind of an open call to the table if anyone is interested. But that's definitely going to be a big next step. And what I also wanted to share was I can put it in the V1 Dev channel, but we do have this. We're using Dework. So let me actually, before I go into that, that was the update, the big update for V1. And we'll post another pre-release once that's actually implemented with a change log, and then start focusing more on the utility layer and some other pieces of the code base. So before I go into Dework, does anyone have any questions about kind of the persistence layer, perhaps? And I know I don't have anything to show right now, but maybe for the next call we'll have something more visual, for us to collaborate on. Yeah, so I just pasted a link in the V1 Dev channel. It's basically a Web3 Jira Asana type task management system called Dework. And all of our tasks that we're hoping to get dev community's contribution on are going to be there. It basically syncs with GitHub. So maybe, why don't I share my screen? Make it more visual. Yeah, so this is it. It's an Asana Jira-based type system, specifically dedicated towards Web3. And if you go under the protocol section, basically anything that we mark as community or starter task will be found here. So if you're an experienced external contributor, you can take on any of the community tasks. If you're just kind of getting onboarded as an external contributor, I would suggest to kind of look at something with the starter task, with a starter task label. And this directly syncs with GitHub. So GitHub is the source of truth, and this is basically a place. This is more so a place for you to kind of see the ongoing tasks. Right now, it basically follows a simple open source contribution model, but I just kind of want everyone to be aware that we're actively working on putting or finding a process to put bounties and kind of in a sense, price tags on each of these tasks, so that one, you get to contribute to the protocol, be an early contributor to the code base, but depending on the scope of the work and kind of what we estimate in terms of its effort, we'll kind of recognize that appropriately. And this is something you can just periodically check to see if someone's working on it or what the status is of an external task.
It's really cool, Daniel. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah, and so that's kind of it. Nothing too fancy on the actual protocol development side, but we've made some really interesting, um, let's say, research steps on the Merkle tree SQL DB implementation. So I'm really hoping to share those with everyone in a couple of weeks. And like I said, we'll add a benchmarking and visibility task here in case you want to take that one. Because as we all know, the persistence layer in V0 was kind of a big point of optimization to make the network more scalable. And the sooner we get visibility into that in V1, the better we can, the more signal we can have from the get-go.
Awesome, Daniel. Thank you for sharing.
Sure.
Awesome, guys. So I'm gonna open the floor for any questions or comments.
No other comments on my end, just another request to kind of everyone here, especially for V1, as we're continuing. There's lots of ideas that I often hear kind of being discussed. So just to kind of capture all of that and to make sure it doesn't get lost, do feel free to have the liberty to open up issues or either in the network repo or the full repo if you think there's an architectural missing piece or an implementation missing piece, so that we can uh, put a bounty on an issue raised by the community, and just to make sure that work is tracked. Open request to everyone here.
Awesome. Thank you, Daniel. So, guys, if there are not any other questions or comments, I would like to remind everyone that we have an agenda form where you can submit any questions or comments for the upcoming contributor hours. Um, if there are not any more questions, feel free to use the chat as well to surface anything regarding B1. And as Daniel said, use GitHub, participate in the issues going on there and this new platform that we're trying out with Dework. And I guess we can get everyone's times back if no one has any other questions.
Let's get back to it.
Cool.
Thanks, Luis.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for the update.
Of course. Bye bye.